dear colleagues. Please, my panelists sit down. As you know, Sequoia Capital, Y Combinator, and Techstars have recently joined the United Arab Emirates. And in general, there are already 4 unicorns. Unicorns, I mean company evaluated $1 billion plus, and in the UAE, and 1 in Egypt. According to Magnet, last year, over $2.6 billion were deployed in MENA and were distributed across 590 startups. And more than 60% of these $2.6 billion were deployed in the United Arab Emirates. But by 2030, the prediction of One Saudi Arabian Technology Venture Capital Fund says that by 2030, over 45 startups valued at $1 billion plus are expected to grace the MENA region. I am pleased to have outstanding speakers with an international experience all over the globe who are now residing in the United Arab Emirates, and I would like to share their views on ecosystem of startups and venture capital of MENA in general and United Arab Emirates, or whatever they prefer to disclose in particular. So let me introduce our speakers. Vinny Matonet, if I pronounce correctly, is a French national based in Dubai. He serves as director of family office division of Capafri Group, and a Mauritius private equity firm focused on energy and infrastructure investment in African market. Sonali Goyla is an investor, operator, and business builder with over 15 years of experience across emerging markets. Sonali currently heads venture capital and private equity investments of Pantera Capital, the investment arm of Ojera Holding. Tina Ilderim. Tina have moved from Sweden with her family 3 years ago. She's an executive director of Nordic Delta Group MENA. So far, she has invested into 1 company, but successful company in Turkey, and is looking at the MENA region more attentively. The next one is Andrei Ibrahimov. He's a serial entrepreneur, investor, founder of the Great Silk Way group of companies, mentor and advisor based between Uzbekistan and Dubai. Sheikh Al-Mhairi is also a serial entrepreneur and co-chair at the TNT Venture Capital Group. And the last but not least is Mania Pamnani. She's heading the advisory division at Dubai Cultivate Investment Limited, providing advisory on transactions, business plans, risk management, and other advisory services to clients in several business sectors. So as you see, we have a great number of panelists with extensive experience worldwide. But let's focus on MENA region. So my first question would be about your view. Please give me a brief view on the MENA region and why MENA is becoming so important and growing exponentially.
You want me to start?
Yes, please.
Can people hear me? Yeah, perfectly. So I think the MENA region, and especially the GCC, are a very interesting ecosystem because basically it's an ecosystem where you have the political will, the government making all the policies and regulation with the corporate leaders of the world and some of the largest companies here, wherever they are, bank, insurance, and the sovereign wealth fund, all aligned toward the same vision. And it's very rare in an ecosystem when you are able to mix all the different parties of the economies toward one common goal. And right now, the common goal that we can see, and especially in the UAE, is toward technology. And therefore, that creates a very dynamic environment, an environment that receives a lot of fundings and allows talent to come here, develop here, and be able to, after to expand worldwide.
Thank you so much for your view. Please, Sonali.
I think, is it working? Hello? I think a lot has changed in the startup ecosystem of the MENA region in the past 2 years because governments, institutions, and CVCs have started getting more actively involved in investing in the startup ecosystem. And when that starts happening in a region, I think we start seeing major trends, like tremendous acceleration overall in the ecosystem. VC becoming an integral asset class for just about everyone, not just funds, even for corporates, institutions, governments, and individuals. We start seeing more and more growth in the number and quality of founders that are excited to start up in the region, so the talent increases, as well as we see a lot of consumer digital adaptation. And then what we are observing is also patterns in how sectors and subsectors are evolving. Because let's say MENA region started out with e-commerce and then food delivery, tech disruption, and then fintech. Now we have started seeing advanced subsectors even within these traditional sectors that are already getting disrupted in the MENA region, and a lot of other non-traditional sectors as well. So I think MENA region is at this inflection point where, as a VC, we can enter at a great stage, be with the startup all through their journey, and help them scale up. So I think it's very well placed from an investor perspective as well as from a founder perspective.
Thank you.
I'm going to try to be very brief. Why did we come here? Why did a Swedish venture builder decide that this is the place to be? Opportunity. We see this as a very, very attractive market, and I will tell you why. Not only because UAE is in position geographically in a way that it's a gateway to Africa, to Europe, to Asia, but also how did innovation started in Sweden? Let me say first that Sweden is the second largest unicorn producer in the world, just after Silicon Valley. How did it happen? Government initiatives. So when you have a committed government, when government believes in something and invests in it, good things happen, and we do strongly believe that this is a very favorable environment to spark innovation, to bring in talent, to create great businesses, and to access international markets.
Interesting point of view. Usually in the West, we try to get rid of the government and everything shall be ruled by the private initiatives, and there are always a lot of discussions, what's the role of the government and how strongly it should, let's say, influence or interact. But in your opinion, Sweden really became such a hub due to the government involvement.
Let me elaborate on this because it's super interesting. It was 1998 till 2001. Swedish government subsidized 850,000 computers and brought it into homes of Swedes. So everybody knows Klarna, right? Klarna is one of the most valuable startups, unicorns in the world. Klarna founder was one of those kids who got that computer. And they brought the general, basically all the residents, the public, they brought them on the same level. And then, of course, there's the safety net. In Sweden also has the highest 3-year survival rate for a startup in the world because of the many safety mechanisms. You can try many times, that's the policy. You can fail as many times, and you keep trying, and you're safe. So government plays an extremely big role because you have to create first 10 unicorns to create a brand, to attract entrepreneurs, to attract more investors. And you see where this is going. It's once you start being successful, success creates success.
So then we are in the right place, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Andrei, please, what do you think about MENA?
Do you hear me? Yeah, good. 10 years ago, when I first time came to Dubai, it was really amazing for me to know that people normally communicate. We go out, we dine out, and we buy something in malls and whatever. And since that time, I see completely different behavior, consumer behavior. Currently, people buy a lot online. So the current market value is about $12.8 billion annually. And it's growing very extremely, about more than 30% per year. So with these numbers, we can imagine that people are buying everything online. $12.8 billion. And out of it, only $700 million is delivery, which we call fast delivery, less than 1 hour. So it's mostly about flowers, about food, about everything. So people want to get everything now. If I need a new headphone, I'm buying it, and I want it to have after not more than 1 hour. This is a behavior. And I like it because people became more busy. They don't want to spend time outside by selecting, by doing something, everything online. I'm doing something and I just need to buy a new phone for my friend and to make a present. Why should I go somewhere and select it? Everything is online. And that's what I like about that. And I expect like e-commerce will be one of the significant part of UAE economy. And what I like about that, there is a very tremendous development of it, and the government pays too much attention to it. And that I like about this country.
I really have a feeling that we are sitting with the VC investors and capitalists because you keep throwing all these numbers to the public, all of you. So it's really nice. And Sheikha is there. Only local representative on the panel.
I'm in a lucky position, I would say. I'm in a very lucky position, I would say. I think I'd like to start by recapping the question of why is the Middle East becoming attractive for startups and VCs? And I'd say it has multiple factors. The political, the regulatory is very important, but there's also a social factor which is very strong. First thing, we're attracting investment and we're also deploying. So it's a two-way conversation. It's not just what's happening here. I think from the Middle East, people are heavily investing outwards, whatever the nationalities of the residents are. So if I would point it down and identify what the framework would look like, I would say it's going to be 4 to 3 reasons of why I find that the Middle East startup scene and VC scene is becoming strong. One, it's because of the quality of life. You see a lot of founders moving from their countries and coming here in terms of the weather, the quality of life, the security and the safety, and also access to capital and talents. Number 2 is going to be the regulations of policies and countries, being very flexible, setting up different kinds of free zones, different kinds of visas. So even the cross-border exchange of talent is becoming very interesting. And then the third factor is also going to be access to the audience. The Middle East has a huge young population coming up, which is not just the Middle East, it's the Middle East and Africa. So a lot of the technologies that are being deployed are being consumed by this part of the world. So whether we're breeding startups and we're investing in them, or we're investing in international ones and we're trying to bring them in, and this is the philosophy that we're working out of our VC, this region is more than primed to compete with, Denmark, Nordic countries and the US. And I think it's a brilliant upcoming market for that.
Thank you for your optimistic approach, but I totally agree with this. That's why I'm also here.
Being the last one. Yeah. Being the last one, it's really difficult. I think everybody has covered everything. I will have to sum it up. So what I feel that this region is becoming more vibrant. The startup ecosystem definitely has improved tremendously. The investors and the family offices here have much more disposable income as compared to other parts of the world. Secondly, what you call it, initiatives. Government initiatives over a period of time have increased. There have been many funds, government-backed funds, like our fund is a government-backed fund, a DTech fund, a DIFC fund, FinTech Hive, EAND. They all have announced funds to promote startups. Secondly, the PE sector and VC sector in this part is still not as evolved as compared to the matured markets. So the multiples are still very attractive, valuations are still very realistic, so the VCs want to enter here. Similarly, the founders find this region attractive because it gives them visibility, access to capital, easy access to capital. Over a period, I've seen increase in the number of pitch competitions, which gives visibility to innovative startups, to show what the disruptive startups. It gives them, like, they are introduced to investors. So yeah, lots of things have changed in the last couple of years, as Sonali said.
Thank you so much for your opinions. I would like to ask you, what is your prediction for, let's say, short term, or let's say next year? Because there are a lot of analytics and which predict that 2023 will be a global recession. And we see now a lot of things slowing down, like in Europe, United States, inflation, that it's really hard to get control of. So far, for me, at least the United Arab Emirates seems like a really stable place, and not even stable, but a place that is really attracts so much attention in terms of capital, in terms of deal flow, in terms of talents. So it feels almost like a unique place, to be, just untouched by this global reception worldwide. What are your predictions for next year? Will MENA be really the place to be, or it will also just, become a part of this global recession, let's say, program, or how do you feel it?
Should I go first now?
I would like, yes, let's start with you this time.
So yeah, global recession, inflation is the buzzword, but still, as I said earlier, that the PE sector is not as evolved. So it is a plus point now, at this point in time, because the valuations being attractive, VCs, private equity firms are looking positively at this point. We see 2023 as an opportunity. So like larger checks or private equity deals might slow down, but smaller checks, in fact, we feel that the volumes will increase. The checks will become smaller, the due diligence cycles will increase, but checks will still be drawn. That's our take.
I believe that if we really look at what VCs do and what private equity are doing, we're trying to identify opportunities, businesses, startups which are undervalued. So going into a recession where people are spending their money or keeping it tucked in is where actually VCs and PEs thrive. Because as the market picks up, they have already caught something at undervaluation of what it's supposed to be. I also think that it's sector related, depends on which sector you're investing in as a VC and what kind of industries you look at. This part of the world is very great with luxury, with travel, with tourism, and these will definitely be affected by the global performance and the global pattern. But the unique opportunities that a PE or a VC is going to be able to identify, which is undervalued within that period of recession, is what's going to make the difference from investor to the other.
Thank you.
I believe what happened during pandemic, which made impact on consumer behavior to buy online, this trend is unstoppable for sure. And when I mentioned $12.8 billion, it's distributed 20% giants and the remaining small startups, small niche startups. And the number of them are increasing. So people are finding the right niche for them and try to make as much impact to develop this. And of course, most of them can die, but if you find the right niche, so you will be successful. And moreover, to start in this area means that globally you will be well known. So you can, next step of yours will be distributed to other countries. So I expect that in e-commerce, it will be next 3-4 years, it will be tremendous growing, tremendous and more advanced technological, let's say, development.
I know, yeah, you're very passionate about this because recently you have been involved and also as an investor, as an advisor into e-commerce.
Yeah,
so that's why you have a lot of passion and I share it with you.
Yeah, if you allow me to tell that I recently joined a team of a new startup. We are not pretending to become a unicorn this year, but possibly in 3-4 years. It's called www.e, and it's an online platform for purchase, and the concept is non-food will be delivered within 1 hour. So I invite you to test the platform, the new one, and for sure, if you're interested, I will give you the personal promo code, which give you 15% discount, guys.
What a pitch. Thank you.
To not take too much time, I think in every crisis there is an opportunity. Nobody really knows what's going to happen. The valuations have dropped drastically, 60% in Sweden. The money invested around the world dropped year to year, 60%. Deals went down 30%. But I think it's a bit of a correction in valuation as well, because COVID inflated technology part quite a lot. And from the VC perspective, it's going to be more bang for the buck. From the entrepreneur perspective, it's going to be a bit more careful with your costs for a while.
So I think, interestingly, traditionally, whenever a recession has happened, alternative investments like private equity have done better than public equity, because stocks take a big hit when there's a downturn. And so we see, I think, because of its longer holding periods, because of the fact that a lot more startup deals are going to become much more attractive with lower valuations, is still going to remain active. And especially in this region, I feel, because like I said, governments, institutions, CVCs have more patient capital. And so I think the VC portfolios in these enterprises are only going to grow, because this is also an opportune time to build up the portfolio and cash on it when the downturn has been ridden already. Plus, this region has always been an LP base. So by virtue of that as well, I think this is the activity here, the VC activity here, will keep going on.
Thank you. And the last but not least?
I can go super fast. Most of my business are in Africa. It has always been a very challenging ecosystem to raise money. So whether the worldwide fundings are up and down, it will remain the main challenge for me, mainly due to lack of education. But I think for the UAE, it represents a great opportunity, because it's a system with a lot of cash. And therefore, there is a really high opportunity for merger and acquisition outside of the border of the country, to have lower valuation and be able to basically build your startup ecosystem through M&A.
Thank you very much. I have all the signals that the time is up. Thank you very much. Let's make a...
Thank you, Jan.